Thank you. I want to go back to the drug cases that you're not prosecuting. Do you just look at it and it says, oh, there's some drugs in here, we're not going to prosecute it? Or do you look at the whole case?
Oh, we look at the whole case. We review every single case that comes in, because sometimes there will be alcohol results and drug results. And I think I said this before. An officer will arrest you, bring you to the police station, give you a breathalyzer, and you will blow under the legal limit. But that officer, through his or her training, believes that you are under the influence. And so the officer will switch tests, perhaps give you a urine test to determine whether there are any drugs in your system. And when DMV gets that case, we might see that you have a 0.04 alcohol level and a positive drug test. But because you're under 0.08, we can't do anything with your license.
So you don't look at the field tests at all? The field sobriety tests? You just ignore that and just go to what's in the actually shows on the test?
Well, because of the statute, I mean, we do look at the field tests if there's, if someone comes to a hearing, that's part of the decision-making process. And it goes to whether the officer had probable cause to arrest you, how you do on those field tests. But once it comes to DMV and we have to make a decision about your license, the fact that someone's looking at your case doesn't matter if the law doesn't give us the ability to suspend your license based on that criteria.
But the court still has the ability to suspend it later, correct?
Well, right. So you can be prosecuted for those offenses, and one of the penalties for your prosecution is a license suspension through the courts.
Mm-hmm. So there was something else that was said that bothered me, that we're going to pay for these DRE tests from the proceeds of the sale of marijuana. What do we do in between? I mean, these DRT, in the town of Vernon, there are 2 DRE specialized officers, and in looking to send more, it costs between $6,000 and $7,000 per officer. So don't you believe the state should be putting money up first to get more of these officers trained throughout the entire state before we all of a sudden start putting people under the influence on the roads?
Well, I think that part of the scheduling of this bill is that the A-RIDE piece and the DRE piece will be put in place prior to the program that we would administer being put into place. Because I think the success of this depends on having those pieces in place. Mm-hmm. From a budget perspective, I don't think I can really speak to that. So
the A-RIDE, is that
question.
the A-RIDE, is that the test, the state-sponsored program that you need before you can get the DRE?
It's a step process. So A-RIDE is the first step. DRE is up a level, and the training is even more advanced on that.
Because I can't send 2 officers right now because we haven't offered the A-RIDE program in a while. Do you know when we're going to do that again?
I'm sorry. The DMV doesn't administer those programs.
I know you don't. But
and I think DOT might be able to assist you with that.
Okay. So we're not doing the A-RIDE program right now to prepare officers for the DRE, and it's $6,000 to $7,000 per officer to send for DRE training. I know we're drastically short across the state. I'm hoping that somewhere there's a plan that prior to the implementation of this legalization, that we do put this in place and send these, a percentage of these officers. Do you have any idea what percentage would you send out of of officers?
I don't think I can answer that question, but I'd be happy to try to get some information on that if you want.
Yeah, I mean, when you have 2 and you're sharing with all the surrounding communities, it makes it pretty difficult because it takes a half hour to run the DRE test through when you stop somebody on the side of the road. That's a long time, and you need a backup officer. So there's 2 officers off the clock. Can't respond to other emergencies because they're testing. And if you're a small community, that makes it even worse. And if you stop 2, there's 4 guys, and that takes care of almost all medium-sized police departments. So it's a major issue that we need to somehow fix and get through. And think that's one of the major stumbling blocks for me, because I don't want to put anybody in danger. So I'm hoping that I hear more about the A-RIDE program and the DRE, and I hope everybody here understands that until we get those in place, we've got to be very careful, because we don't want anybody getting hurt. We want to be able to stop this before it actually gets out there. And like I said, that's a major stumbling block for me on this. Now, I was a policeman for 22 years, and I've run people through the field tests. And I've seen that the court will separate at different times the field tests and then the actual chemical results. So they'll actually charge them with DUI twice in court. And if they get convicted of both, they'll throw one of them out and stay with one of them. And I know this went through the state Supreme Court, and they said that's okay. So that's why when we were talking before, when you guys wouldn't take the license, but I guess they could still do it in the court. All right.
So we'll follow up on that.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Senator. And I think we can all agree on this committee that we need to take a very serious look at the driving under the influence that is already happening on our roads, that is happening as a result of legalization in Massachusetts and likely surrounding states. And I think that's the main reason we're having this conversation today, is how does Connecticut prepare, and how does Connecticut put in place a regulatory framework that works for us